Hello and welcome. I am, of course, the Restless Kaiser.
I'm Brushing Quill.
I'm Johnny B.
And I think I'm Fog of War.
But together we
are
Modeling for Advantage.
So lame. I love it.
It's a beautiful
It's
sound. Beautiful
great.
sound. So we are going to be giving away some S-Tanks tonight, but I think you all know that. Let's just see who we've got in the chats. We have got Gary, Saffron69. Caught up with Gary actually earlier this week and played some 54mm World War II rules of my own devising, which I hadn't looked at since lockdown. Alid is here as always. Hello, Alid, my friend.
Hey, Alid.
Nick from Team Clueless Games. Subs is here. He's going to take a shot every time they say meatballs or IKEA. I think it's just the two there, mate. I don't know whether that's going to come up again. I don't know what Harry's presentation is going to be like. Maybe.
Alan Key. That's what you need to take a drink whenever we say Alan Key.
Trekken Bulovich. Hello from Germany. God bless you all.
Oh, Trekken, I'm so sorry about what he did to your name.
Sauerkraut.
Yeah.
What, Belovich?
No, Trekken.
Trekkan, right?
Yep.
I've never met a Trekkan before. Tony Holton is here. Robert Shields is here. Rich M is here. Tony Holton, engage hamster drive. Make it so. Exactly.
Aren't the hamsters on strike this week?
In Britain, somebody's on strike all the time. Even the dockers are on strike. We didn't even know there were any. Ham and Jam is here. Laptop runs an update just as Kaiser goes live. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. Wooly Mike is here. Kevin Chen from sunny Los Angeles. Ooh. Nice. That's Gary saying great game to my 54mm game of my own devising. Did I mention that? Metal and Minis. Hi, folks. Hello there, mate. And Lazy Pirate Painting. Making Turnip 28. Very nice. It's nearly CrackCon, isn't it? Is everybody getting into their kind of turnip? So
there's a turnip con as well.
There's a turnip con?
Okay.
Apparently so.
Oh, mate, we got to go and just break in and take some photos. We haven't got tickets for CrackCon, have we, John? But we're going to turn up, I think. They'd sold out within a day or something.
Which is good.
Which is good. Painting and hobbying this evening. I have painted, base coat, washed, overbrushed. It's now camouflage time. Look, John, I even put a little bit of paint on the underneath, but not a full coat, just to really annoy you. It's not complete.
You'll be basing it next.
Basing of vehicles is unacceptable. Mm-hmm. It's unacceptable.
Yeah.
Hobby-wise,
Callum,
what are you up to tonight, hobby-wise?
I'm currently putting some paint on a French chasseur.
A French chasseur à cheval. Thank you.
He's a chicken, he is.
Who?
The chasseur. Chicken chasseur.
The chicken's named after him, not the other way around.
We understood the joke, we just weren't laughing, Johnny, I'm afraid. Sorry.
I'm going to paint a Hatchet Man from Catalyst Games.
Battletech.
Battletech. Yeah.
Love me some Battletech.
I've already painted in the Steiner colours, the Steiner household, a Banshee, so I'm going to put some paint on this one. And there you go. Fog of War. Do you have any hobby?
I am going to not build any of these M247 Sergeant York AA platoon tanks while we're doing this, because I hope I'll be really busy talking about stuff.
Nice. This is all good.
Look at them lovingly.
Yep.
Are we still doing the guest introduction?
Go for it, John.
Come on then. Fog, just in case nobody knows who the hell you are, can you tell the lovely people exactly who you are?
We've done the OnlyFans joke, so I can't talk about me being an OnlyFans star anymore. My name is Harry. I'm from Fog of War, and I have a YouTube channel called Fog of War, oddly enough. And on that, I review a whole bunch of things, usually to do with 15mm historical stuff, World War II and modern. So Team Yankee, Flames of War, that sort of stuff. And that's what I do. And you can find me on the YouTubes.
Very nice. We like.
Concise and detailed.
And you guys get me in whenever you've got 15 mil stuff to talk about.
Mostly, yeah. If you've not checked out Harry's channel before, he does fantastic single model reviews, which is why we just don't do them. Harry does them so much better. If you want to know detailed about a particular kit and some modelling tips and some history, go check out Harry's channel. It's good. So we are giving away S-Tanks tonight.
Absolutely.
And
even the right way up.
Even the right way up. Look at that. So this is what's going to happen, folks. I have to stop saying chaps on the belief that there might be at least one lady watching. Often Johnny B's missus is watching, and sometimes mine. So it needs to be quick. It needs to be simple. We're going to give away a box, then a box, and then the last box I think we'll open and we'll do the sprues individually at the end, providing there's time. And we're going to do this at 1:45 on the hour, and then 1:15 for the last one. And in between that, Harry's going to talk a little bit about Nordic forces, S-Tanks, that kind of stuff, and some other general patter.
Nice.
To keep it quick, I am going to roll a D100 like this. And you're going to have to just believe that I'm not lying about the number. All right? No, in that case, it was 87. So what'll happen is when I'm calling for the draw, I'll put a note in the chat when it begins and when it ends, when people can kind of choose a number. And we're going to have to go for the nearest to what I roll. Okay? If you pick a number that's already been picked, your loss, your problem. All right? That's how that's going to work.
Sounds like a bulletproof system that can't possibly go wrong there, Kaiser.
It absolutely can, but I've got to do this, one,
absolutely.
2, 5 times.
Yep.
So I think it's going to take quite a bit of the time. So we're not going to do the first one for a few minutes, so we'll just catch up with the chat, I guess.
Sweet.
Because there's been quite a lot since.
Sweet.
Tony Holton spotted the aliens behind me.
I'm listening to the stream as I'm reading the Bolt Action Roll Book. Nice. Show us the tanks. Harry's going to show you pictures of the tanks, I think.
Is that like construction workers shouting out, "Show us your tanks"?
Something like that, I think so, yeah.
With wolf whistles.
Hello, all. We need a new Primaris Lieutenant. Yeah, hello there. Hello to Bacon Lord Kenzie.
Winner.
Tony Holland's painting Dread Ball. I was never into Blood Bowl, so Dread Ball, that's Mantic's equivalent, is it, John?
Yeah, it's a bit more sci-fi based.
Yeah.
I prefer it.
A bit quicker as well.
I prefer it. I prefer it.
Why is that,
I've never
John?
played it.
Because it's unlike American football style of Blood Bowl. It's sort of got it's got a hex-based grid, and they have 3 scoring zones on each side. It's like 3, like a bit like like in Harry Potter, Quidditch has 3 hoops. This has 3 scoring zones, and one of them is worth more than the other 2 because it's like further back.
Sweet.
Sounds like Australian rules football, where if you kick it through the middle, you get a goal, and if you kick it on either side, you get a point.
A bit like that.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So just kick it to the end. That's the main gig.
Yeah, basically.
Or kick the other player in Aussie rules, isn't it?
Sub says he bases all his
doing BattleTech.
Don't they come on bases? Aren't the bases integral to the model?
These ones do, these Catalyst ones. I don't know if the other ones do.
Yeah, I think he might be making a joke.
Oh.
People basing vehicles prefer resin and metal over plastic too. These are dark heresies, mate. Dark heresies. Alan, hi gentlemen, I was set to retire next Thursday. After seeing a list of jobs the beloved had for me, I went back and agreed to stay on for 3 more years. Well, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Bacon Lord painting epic battle Waterloo after watching our videos. Well, that's more than we've managed, mate. I've not even started That's a potential project for Callum in the future. Is some epic, but
they haven't even got as far as commissioning me yet. You know.
Exactly. Well, you got a million other things of mine to do at the moment, so it felt poorly timed in that respect. What's this? I got some T-72Bs for Team Yankee. That's with the new upgrade sprue with the explosive reactive armor, is it?
Yeah, that's the one.
Hello, Trekken. Oh, right, okay. Is Trekken, is he a regular on your show?
He is.
Flog of War.
What about Dark Arnold, a.k.a. Sausage Krieg?
That's a localish lad.
Yeah?
Love the name, though.
Aliens has crept in behind Harry. Yeah, absolutely. Fog of Guar? I don't get that.
Fog of Guar.
On my live stream show, we fiddle with my title a lot.
Oh, I see.
So they're all just joining in to suggest different things.
Right.
We haven't got any titles tonight.
Looking to build me a Swedish army for... Oh, it's when the things are up, it takes the titles away.
Because now I'm Frock of War, apparently.
Wooly Mike is looking to build a Swedish army. Yeah, so I think a few people are doing that. So, right. Sadly, I'm listening from work. Can't be...
Oh, drop fleet.
Right.
Drop Fleet Commander. Yeah, Callum loves Drop Fleet. He showed me it once, and as soon as we shot something, he pulled out a table. I'm like, I'm never playing this again.
Drop Zone.
It's got a table in it. I'm not up for it. Right.
Thrust's got even worse. That's got real physics.
So I'm gonna go down to here. I am gonna post in a whole bunch of X's into the chat. Choose your number, 0 to 100. Now it will be open for the next minute.
I did ask. I'm not allowed to put a number in.
You're not, Harry. That is fact.
Go Team Clueless.
Because I was telling you guys before that I only got to have the S-Tank sprue that I did for my review for about 45 minutes.
It's true.
It was a loaner and I had to give it back.
He did it in the style of a man asking you for 37 pence for the bus while you stood outside the railway station.
Yeah, very much. No, it involved a 650-kilometre round trip for somebody to drive it down to me so I could film it for 45 minutes. So thank you very much to the people involved in that.
Yeah, that was very generous.
Sorry, Johnny, what was that?
I said last time it happened to me, it wasn't for a tank.
Oh.
45-minute drive.
Yep. But yeah, so that was a bit of Mission Impossible skullduggery to get that out, but
right. So
we got numbers.
We've got numbers.
Who's closest?
So remember, if numbers are duplicated, it goes in the order that they were put in. Many pairs of eyes on this. I'm going to call out the number. The number is... drop dice don't count. It is 62. 62.
Kevin Chen is closest at
Kevin Chen on 63. Anybody get a 62?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Anybody got a 62? Okay, 62 winner.
Bingo.
So, Kevin, where was Kevin? There he is, Kevin Chen. You're going to need to go onto the Modelling for Advantage website. There's a Contact Us page there. And then that will send us a message. Send us your postal address, and we will get this box of S-Tanks shipped to you for your gaming pleasure.
Congratulations, Kevin. Well done.
All right, don't worry. That's only one. We've got 2 more boxes. All right.
So do we want to show people what's actually in there?
Absolutely.
Yeah, what's the next tank?
Boom. Harry.
All right. So I made some slides because I have to make slides because it's my thing. So yeah, S-Tanks look like that.
So what's the deal with why they look so radically different from a normal tank? What's that all about?
So they're completely turretless. So it's an unusual thing for a tank not to have a turret, but the gun is actually mounted through the hull. It's rigid mounting, like it doesn't go up or down or left or right. you have to move the entire tank. So there's a hydropneumatic suspension that goes up and down, and there's a second engine in the thing that handles left and right.
No way.
Somebody is saying S is for sausage tank. That's
That
actually
would be
not
Dark
true,
Arnold.
but that's quite good though.
Yeah,
No, that would be a D tank, wouldn't it? A Dacian tank.
So 105mm gun, but it's a long 105mm gun, goes all the way through the vehicle to an autoloader at the back. You have to actually get out though to load the autoloader at the back. So there's footage I found of guys having to like unhatch the back of it and shove rounds in the back.
So is the real tank only 100mm long?
105mm, Johnny.
Well, you said it sticks out the back. Anyways.
It's not the length, Johnny. It's what you can do with it.
More importantly, the numbers on guns are the bore width. That may be the bit of information that you're missing, John.
Yeah.
Can I just say I agree that both the videos mentioned in the chat are very good videos. The Tank Museum and the Chieftain.
Oh, right, yeah.
And Harry's, of course.
They're interrupting you, Harry. Go on.
They are. No, it's okay. I'm not hogging it. We're all having a good time. I've actually seen an S-Tank, by the way. There is one here in Australia at the Puckapunyal Australian Armoured Corps Museum.
At the what?
Only Australia has names like that.
Puckapunyal, man.
Yeah.
That's the home of the Royal Australian Armoured Corps. And they have a museum. And I was wandering around it, and I wandered into a shed, and there was one of these with all the slat armour on the front and everything else. Just sitting there unregarded in a shed.
You then, wandered out by two burly men.
Cool.
No. That was their preservation centre, so you were allowed to go in there and have a bit of a look.
He said I wandered into a shed.
Yeah. No, it wasn't just some random shed. It was part of the museum.
Oh, okay.
Subs makes a good point. We don't have a Puckapunyal museum, but we do have
pies.
Pucka pies, and they are
I was
legit.
about to say, yeah.
Right, so this is the kit. You've seen it, but you've not actually built one yet, Harry.
I have not built one yet. I would really like... Yeah, I had to give it back. The guy who owned it actually wanted to build it himself.
But it looks like it follows normal kind of Battlefront approaches, single-piece track and running gear.
Yeah, very, very easy to put together, I would imagine, from looking at it. And you do have the option to build the late version, the Stridsvagn 103C, or the B version, which was the main earlier variant of that.
And that'll be these side panels being different, right?
Side panels being different, and if you really care about it, you should cut the smoke discharges off of either side of the commander's hatch to make the early version.
Really? They didn't have smoke launchers?
No, it didn't have smoke launchers.
That is interesting. Just about every vehicle.
Well, it's European.
In the world.
Smoking is bad for you. You can't.
Yeah,
oh,
true.
yeah. It wasn't in the 70s.
No,
this is a 1970s vehicle, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Well, you were allowed to smoke inside then.
You're allowed to smoke in front of your babies. You were allowed to give your children one and watch them cough and think it was funny.
You were allowed to drive around in cars and, have smoke trailing out of all the surfaces in your car with your kiddies in the back.
Hey, I did that a few years ago on the M4.
Yep.
Okay. So that's the kit then.
Yeah.
Anything you wanted to say about that?
Oh, fun things like the slat armor at the front. The reaction to my video where people were really torn about the slat armor. So at the front, there's a bunch of basically welded together pipes that you can stick in like a gate arrangement on the front of the vehicle.
Yes.
That was apparently super hush-hush at the time. Like, it was war emergency only, top secret, don't show to anybody.
This is like a row of fence railings.
Yeah, at the front.
Railings at the front. And that's
so like
not
the slatting bar armor that you have seen in Afghanistan and places like that, this was the very first iteration of something like that was meant to, catch
charge
incoming
weapons.
heat warheads, and keep them off the armor.
Yeah, like spaced armor, if it can engage the the round before it hits the main armor.
Yeah.
And I presume by being slatted, it means the blast is then not contained between the spaced armor and the hull, it's allowed to.
Well, it sticks up like a gate on the front. So what happens is it hits that and goes bang, and doesn't get anywhere near the hull of the tank. So it's.
But what I mean is that because it's slatted, there's room for the blast to go in all sorts of different directions, and therefore it's vastly minimised.
Well, and also, though, that the poor driver who is actually there can actually see through it at some point, so that he can see what's going on.
Yeah. Because this is a funny vehicle. You mentioned this, but you haven't really got to talk about it because you've got the picture of the kit up. So a question that Callum asked right at the beginning, I think it was Callum, why this vehicle? You mentioned it's turretless. That's an unusual. That's very unusual. I mean, most people you would normally expect this to be called a self-propelled gun or a tank destroyer or an assault gun or something of that nature. But this is called a tank because it's got an alternative to having a turret, right?
Yeah. But also the role that it was intended for was a tank role. So interestingly, you might have a look at this and go, oh, it's defensive. It's got a very low silhouette. You can tuck it down behind a hill and use the weird suspension to crank it up so that it's mostly hidden, and you would be forgiven for thinking that it's actually meant to be employed very defensively.
Like a Stug.
Yeah, but the Swedes actually weren't. Their armour tactics, the doctrine of the 1980s, was actually very aggressive. So while it would fire from cover, it would then be looking to dash forward, not dash back. So I know British doctrine at the time was fire from cover until they get too close and then pull back to your next defensive position. These guys would be pushing forward to clog them one and force them back. So they very much emphasized counterattack.
Pointing backwards.
What do you mean pointing backwards?
So you said dash forward, but
you'd
be driving away from the enemy. That makes sense.
No, you'd be driving towards the enemy with it.
This isn't one with a rear driving position.
Oh, okay.
As an extra rear driving position.
It does.
Right. I see.
Sorry, yes, it does have a rear driving position, but
that's an additional drive. It's not not like the Archer, which kind of goes backwards.
Yeah, that's what I thought about the Archer. You see, I didn't realize it had to.
There was some American tank that actually revolved. So as the turret turned, it revolved the driver around.
Wow.
So that he always pointed forward. That was some weird combination of things. The Americans did some very strange stuff in the 1950s and 60s.
Why the driver would not want to be looking the direction he was going, I don't know.
Yeah.
that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
That'd be very confusing when you're at 90 degrees to the tank tracks.
Well, you shouldn't ever be at 90 degrees to the track, should you?
Yeah, something has gone badly wrong if that happens to you.
This thing, it's got a rear driving position. It looks like an assault gun or a tank destroyer, but tactically it's employed as a tank.
Yeah.
So this thoroughly, because even things like Hetzer and Stug have got some motion in the gun. So how does this thing manage to track targets?
So it is. You've already pointed out that it's kind of weird because it doesn't have a turret. It's got two engines, one for low-speed manoeuvring, and then an entirely different engine for high speed. So if it starts honking along, you actually turn off the low-speed engine, turn on the high-speed engine, and just go for it. But when you're manoeuvring the tank left or right to fire, so you'll be like parked somewhere, you will be using the low-powered engine to traverse left or right, just using the tracks. And then the suspension actually handles going up or down. So it's got a hydropneumatic suspension. So it can actually tilt the tank. So if you need to make the gun go up or down, you actually move the entire tank. Battlefront actually do sell a second set of tracks for this in the wonked position.
Which are in,
so you can actually, instead of fitting the standard tracks, you can buy the wonky ones and actually make them look weird.
Make them look like they would in action.
Like they would in action.
Yeah.
Subs has just said that the S-Tank is ribbed armor for extra satisfaction.
Well, I mean...
So you'll notice on the front of it, there are actually bars welded onto the engine decks at the front there. And that is actually... Sorry?
Is that what the S is for? Satisfaction?
Satisfaction tank, yes.
I heard
you can do the satisfaction tank.
I heard they had meatball launchers. Is that fact or fiction?
Only in the Stridswagen 103C. So those are the meatball launchers. There's 8 of them on either side of the commander's couple of there.
Right. They look like smoke launchers, but they're actually... They fired the IKEA meatballs.
But interestingly,
the Aldi ones.
The Geneva Convention prevents the use of sauce when firing the meatballs. It's considered cruel and unusual. So
that's harsh, man.
Yeah, so it's just the meatballs.
Very nice.
Subs, stop it, Subs.
Subs is smashed. Yep.
Long gun for better penetration. Oh, I mean, man.
What gets me is that is the British gun, isn't it?
No,
but they've adapted it.
It is. So it's a development of the very excellent British L7 105mm gun. It's
which
the
Bofors
L74 10.5 centimeter L62 gun. So basically it's longer than the British version. The ammunition is not compatible, so the ammunition is actually slightly different. But what it does by having a longer gun, because it's in the barrel with the propellant gases for longer, it can actually propel the round faster, which means when it hits something, it's got better penetration. So the gun on the S-Tank has better penetration than all the other guns of that caliber in Team Yankee.
Well, it is now 10 o'clock, which means we're ready for another draw. We can do it again. All right, so we are putting in the numbers. Wait for the X's, ladies. So if you joined after I gave the instructions last time, well, I'm going to give this away in a moment. What's going to happen is I'm going to put a line of X's in the chat. Alid, you're too early, mate. You're too early. Put a line of X's in the chat. The numbers after that, people just put in a number between 1 and 100. I am then going to put another line of X's 1 minute later, which will close that off. I will roll a D100 and we will have ourselves a winner. So,
there's a few premature speculators there.
They don't count. If you select a number that someone else has already selected, that's your problem. I'm going to have to go with the earliest appearance of that number. All right? So if we are ready, should have got someone else to do the X thing, shouldn't I? Because I could be waving the box.
You could.
Okay, so I'm going to put my line of X's in. And here we go. 1 minute. Boom.
Trekan says everybody's jumping the 105mm gun.
I like premature enumeration.
Premature enumeration. Oh, boom! They all just appeared.
Yep, kabam.
People love themselves an S-Tank. So the kind of the enduring appeal of this tank is its oddness, right? There is nothing else like it.
Yeah, absolutely nothing else like it.
And if you watch those kind of top 5 tanks videos done from the Tank Museum's YouTube channel, a lot of people have got the S-Tank in there.
Yeah.
Because as you go around the Tank Museum, you see the same. Oh, what the hell's this?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're not exactly the same, but they're broadly the same. All right, here we go. Our time is up.
And the winner is...
The winner is...
Yeah, show us your numbers, Kaiser.
The number is 45.
Ooh,
I'm sure there was a pretty close one in there.
There's a 49.
44 from Michael Wayne. Anybody beat the 44?
No, 44 is the closest, I think. Well done, Michael. As long as we're not prematurely celebrating.
We're not prematurely celebrating. In the chat, if we've got it wrong, please let us know. But it looks like Michael Wayne is the winner of the second Stridswagen box. So, as I said with the previous one, what you're going to need to do to give us your name and address, you don't want to be sharing that publicly. If you go to the modelingforadvantage.co.uk website, contact us page, put your details in there with your postal address. we will get that shipped out to you. Now, there are a lot of people in the chat, so the last box that I've got, I figure at about 1:15 we're gonna do 3. We're gonna do the 3 sprues. So for the last sort of 10 minutes of the show, we're gonna do 3 sets of rolls. All right? If that's okay? Just to get it exciting, which means
just to iterate, that's a single sprue per win, guys, not as a box.
Not as a box.
Well, this was worth getting up early for.
Oh, I quit. It's hard.
What's up?
Can't win one, Harry. We're sorry.
So, there you go. You can see it's not as good as Harry's picture. One of them, but I can show you both sides. So, now that I've opened the box.
Show us the gun.
So, show you the gun? No, but the point about this tank is the gun's internal. There's the gun.
There it is.
But most of it is in the tank. It's like they read a science fiction manual about spinal mounted cannon or something. So congratulations there. Just remember, guys, we have no way of contacting you. You need to contact us. All right?
Absolutely.
Through that method. All right, Harry, back to the
stank.
Back to the tank. So we were talking about
that one. Yep.
Yeah, we were talking about how it's an unusual tank. Now, is there any information about sort of drills and so forth? Because my feeling about this tank is that it just doesn't work. I find it hard to believe that whole, however low gear that second engine is, the idea that you can maneuver the tank in a active battle against a moving target, I'm just not feeling it.
Does that mean I have to be the actually guy? Do I have to be the guy who goes, actually, there was a British Army study that I read while I was researching the video, where they said the accuracy was slightly better than their current tank at the time because they evaluated it, but the engagement time was about half a second longer.
Half a second longer means
it took a half a second longer to lay the gun and fire, but when you did, the accuracy was right up there. But that's on, Lulworth Plain or wherever it was that they tested it. I have no idea what it would be like in actual operation.
Which way are you worried about? Are you worried about the horizontal movement? Is that what you're talking about, Kaiser?
I'm worried about this movement.
Because I'm just thinking, if you're tracking a fast-moving vehicle, then you're going to be making quite big adjustments. We're not talking millimeters here.
No, but what you would do is then
it needs to be accurate.
Lay ahead of it and then wait for it to hit on the reticle. There's a bunch of groove marks about where it's going to impact. So you would actually wait for the one that corresponds to its speed and then fire. So you wouldn't actually be constantly tracking.
If you had to track, I can imagine it's quite a large, smooth movement.
It would be, but you'd track past and then wait for it to...
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
But if you had to.
Yeah. So, it does seem weird. Like, whenever you talk about it and the gun doesn't move and you actually see the footage of it tilting up and down and doing stuff. The tilt isn't screamingly fast. So, you'd think, it might take a while, but apparently it seemed to work. And I mean, the thing was in service for 30 years, more.
Did it ever see combat?
No.
Sweden hasn't seen combat since the Napoleonic Wars.
Oh yeah, they were really good, and then
it famously has not been to war since it fought Napoleon.
Yeah. That sounds like a smart thing to do, but
yeah. Interesting fun fact: Swedish royal family. Like a lot of people, what you might not appreciate if you haven't studied sort of European, particularly 17th to 20th century history. If you've got a shit king, ask one of the great powers to give you a better one is quite common. That actually has happened quite a lot. And Sweden did this in Napoleon's day, and Napoleon was the person to ask. and he sent Marshal Bernadotte to become King of Sweden because they thought their own king was shit. That royal family declared war against Napoleon in the 1813 campaign, joining with the other Allied coalition. I mean, it's probably more like, are you with him or you're against him? Because this is all Europe's at war, and he's probably going to lose this time.
Yeah.
So they joined the coalition. But that royal family, which betrayed the person who put them on the throne, are still there. The Bernadottes are the kings of and queens of Sweden. Still there.
So that decision actually proved pretty good for them. Seems to have worked out that they ended up being...
Yeah. Not so good for Napoleon.
Yeah. So, I mean, if they'd gone the other way around, I imagine it would not have gone so well for them.
Ooh. Absolutely.
But, I mean, European history is full of all of that, isn't it? With people betraying their alliances and shanking other people in the back, and they were our allies last week. It's a bit like that Blackadder of, once we defeat the Germans, then we can get back to the real enemy, the French.
Well, I mean, some of us still feel that way. Yeah. So back to the S-Tank, though. Or back to... Have we said...
Well, Shuckos and Sprues has just made a comment about on the Bovington video. So they actually did a very interesting... They've done an S-Tank video, but they've also done a follow-up one where they actually got an S-Tank crewman, and he talked through what was happening. And he said, yes, it was very oily inside, that they always kept a whole bunch of rags inside to keep wiping it out. So for some reason, there was a whole bunch of oil from some mechanism somewhere.
Just constantly leaking into the tank.
Constantly leaking. Yeah.
All the meatballs. Yep.
You just have to drill like a hole in the bottom so it would all eventually run out. Or just, turn the S-Tank over every now and again and drain it.
So the probably the last thing to talk about here is the why. Why did they not just buy Chieftain or T-55? I mean, this, Finland was buying Soviet equipment in this period. They're in a strange relationship with the Soviet Union, actually, Finland. We'll maybe talk about that another time.
Yeah.
So that we don't get sidetracked too much. So why did Sweden
sidetracked? No.
Why did Sweden go down this route? Why did they build the S-Tank instead of a more conventional tank, or just buying somebody else's?
Okay, so they did all of that. So they were coming off the Centurion. They'd had Centurion since the late 50s, early 60s, when America bought them a whole bunch, because they had wanted M48 patterns, but the Americans were busy keeping all the ones they could build at that point. So there were 3 projects, I understand. So the S-Tank is actually the other name for it is the Alternative S, so S for Sweden. There was also, I believe, the Alternative A, so that was an American design that was being evaluated, and there was a third alternative. So they actually had 3 programs running, and out of all of those, they decided to make their own indigenous design, and that's where the S-Tank came from. So they did, they were replacing their Centurions, which they'd had good service from, and in fact, they upgraded to the Stridsvagn 104 and kept in service with ERA armour and stuff like that. But yeah, they looked at more conventional designs, and in the end, went with this one.
So I wonder if that's like a timing thing. So if this is a 70s vehicle, this is T60 is, M60 is old, Abrams is nowhere near ready.
Yeah.
Chieftain out yet, or are we still on late Centurions?
Chieftain would be out by this stage because these guys had Centurions for ages.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I
would believe Chieftain was out. Or would Britain have sold them?
Oh, because Chopper Mama was still a big secret.
Yeah. For ages, nobody knew what Chieftains looked like because wherever they drove anywhere, they had a tarp over the front of the turret, so nobody could see what was going on. Right.
Okay. Yeah. And it's probably T-72 again has not got an export model. T-62 is old and had performed quite badly in the Arab-Israeli wars.
Yeah, so it hadn't covered itself in glory too much, no.
And whereas the Israelis were using M60s and at that point, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So probably I'm just when you talked about these alternative programs, I'm probably thinking actually it's in a funny stage in terms of like
it is.
Most of the tanks on the market are old.
Yeah.
The next generation hasn't come out yet, so with the exception of Chieftain and T-72, which
and there is a wave of technology that is coming about this time.
Yeah.
So fire control, laser rangefinders, different versions of composite armor, night fighting equipment, thermal imaging, all of those things are coming but not quite here yet.
Which is probably delaying that the generation of tanks which we're all familiar with, which have been from the 80s to today, are still, the late Cold War, very late Cold War. Okay, so it's an interesting one. But Spitsvagen, it ended up being quite cheap, though, was one of the considerations, right? For the combat power you were getting.
Yep, so quite cheap, also domestically manufactured, so you're making jobs for your own armaments industry and you're not, worried about the Americans one day saying, well, actually, you can't have any spare parts or, So Alad is saying in the comments, I can see it worked as an ambush platform, but rushing forwards and firing may go tits up and have a short combat lifespan in an engagement. Plus having 2 power packs means more could go wrong. It would have to mean more maintenance, wouldn't it?
I mean, it feels like, Panther, Tiger, over-engineering, those kind of problems.
Although
it's got all of this fancy gear to not have a turret.
Although if one of your engines packs up, you can still drive around on the other one. So,
I mean, I assume that ultra low gear one for actually aiming the gun is very slow.
Yeah,
it would need to be able to deal with those micro movements, right?
Yeah.
I mean that Alid. I'm with Alid. Now so is that though? You said you talked about under test conditions, it seemed to perform very well. You've talked about that. You've mentioned that.
Yeah, certainly the British officers who tested it were reasonably surprised and impressed.
So one of the things that I'm wondering about this is it's about training and it's about quality, and that this is something that you can do when you have a tiny volunteer army. So if you the bigger your army is in relation to your population size, the poorer quality it is, right? The more and more you're drawing on people who don't want to be there, don't want to make good soldiers. When you have a small but highly motivated, highly trained specialist force, and it's not like they had fleets of thousands of these things, is it? So probably with a very small tank corps, looks very differently compared to a kind of mass mobilization approach.
And also Sweden had a tradition of taking its own designs. So for aircraft designs, they had the Draken and then the Viggen designed specifically for their particular conditions. So they could have nicked off and bought F-16s or whatever was current at the time that those things were being developed.
And they did buy some F-15s, didn't they?
Don't know. I'd have to go and look that up. But the Viggen was meant to operate off their roadways. So they actually built their highways so that they could be emergency wartime airstrips.
Right.
So you'll notice the Viggen has very rugged landing gear, so the damn thing can land on your... Yeah, for a jet.
Interesting. Well, it's time again!
We're going to do it again.
What was that, Callum?
I was going to say, I love the 2 philosophies. They adapted their road system. We created a VTOL aircraft. 2 different
Yeah.
Let's spend $1 billion on making an engine that you can, swivel.
Speaking about having around. 2 engines, Harrier, but the Soviet one was even worse. The Yak-36. The
Yak-36.
Never really
the
worked.
Yak-38.
I think there's 2. I think the 36 is the first one, and that's got unlike early Harriers, it doesn't have short takeoff. it only has vertical takeoff, so it's got a combat radius of about 50 kilometers. It's totally useless.
Yeah. But even the
Came out
Yak
before the
38
Harrier, didn't
Forger,
work.
yeah,
It's very short range, isn't it?
they went for lift engines. So there's a bunch of engines behind the pilot that point downwards.
Yeah.
And then there's a swivel engine at the back. But if your lift engines at the front go down, you're having a very, very, very bad day.
Right.
Because now only the back of your aeroplane is flying.
Right.
Isn't that what the F-35 now uses?
Isn't that what the F-35?
Yeah, doesn't that use?
Yeah, based off the technology from the Yak 141, which was a Russian program that did the lift engines and the big swiveling nozzle at the back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, folks. So here we go. We're gonna be raffling a single sprue. Remember, as I said, I'm gonna put the X's in the chat after it goes live. You pick a number. 1 minute. Boom.
1 minute.
1 minute.
When we do the whole,
I should have had some
last
music
week's
ready
draw.
for this bit. All right.
There was a whole bunch of
I've got the
numbers.
Whole bunch of numbers.
Bong.
Are you just going to roll 3 times, or they have to put 3 numbers in?
I think we're doing 3 draws, aren't we?
I think we're going to do 3 draws. I would be grateful if you
Because
already
that's more
won.
exciting.
If you didn't continue to draw. All right, and that is time, and the number is 28. I can see Will GM for food.
Will GM for food. Did
Got a
anybody
28.
get it before that? Yeah, Mini Walmart got a 28 earlier up.
Oh.
Mini Walmart.
Mini Walmart.
Yeah.
Oh, Mini Walmart. Put it in earlier. Wow. That would sting. That.
Oh, Will GM for food. We're so sorry, man.
Yeah, Mini Walmart had already put it in.
Congratulations.
So, Mini Walmart, get in touch. Give us your number. Before we do the next draw, can I just see yes, Y for yes, N for no. Is Harry allowed to enter the draw for the last 2? All right. Yes, Y for yes, N for no. Are you happy for Harry to enter the draw for the last couple? So then people get to express their views. Come on.
Yes.
Y's and N's. I've got 2 yeses.
Yes.
JB's abusing himself, not muted.
Yes.
Guess how JB found his 105mm gun.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, it's military. Yeah, he's
I
ordnance
didn't
rifle.
see Rosie come in.
Right, Harry, you're allowed to play. Okay.
I'm allowed to play. Oh, let
You're
me
allowed
join
to
the
play.
chat.
Okay.
Get yourself in.
Can we forfeit around and send Harry one anyway? Oh.
I'm a big boy. I can buy mine when they finally get to Australia. I got the Fondle one, remember, for 45 whole minutes.
Harry's an impulse buyer. He's going to buy the bloody starter set.
I am
He just
gonna.
doesn't know it yet. He just
No,
doesn't
I'm
know
not.
it yet. Yeah, yeah.
So if you win it, you can always send him it. If you win it.
That's true.
Okay. Are we ready? Whoop. Have you joined the chat, Harry?
No, I can't. So thank you for everybody saying yes, but I'm
You
afraid
can call
technologically
out
I
your
can't.
number. You can
Okay, I'll
your
call out a
You can say
number.
your
That's fine.
All right.
So
Okay.
after you roll it, I'll call out a number.
All right. Go.
What's your number, Harry?
What's your number, Harry?
163.
163. I think you're unlikely to win that on a D100, but we'll see.
I'd love it if that's what you roll.
Well, have you noticed, for comparison purposes, if some of you may remember, I think it was one of the old Warhammer Fantasy Codexes. If Skaven ever rolled a 13, they just win on 2 days.
Yeah. No, that was, I had that. I used to play Skaven then, and you got the unstoppable magic powers if you did that.
Yeah. It was like you couldn't dispel it. Epic.
Yeah, I think rules like that are fantastic because they're
Ridiculous.
very in universe, in lore. Right.
It was actually possible.
Okay, so
Right.
Time's up. Here we go for the roll. Roll is 18.
Ooh, that's low.
It's a low one.
I see a 12.
We got a 12.
I see a 21 from Robert Shields.
I think that's the closest.
Yeah. So what was the number you rolled?
18.
18.
18, yeah.
So he's 6 off, so 23 or below would win.
13. 13's only 5 off.
Who rolled 13?
Lazy Pirate Painting. He's, to me, 3 above.
Oh, yeah, there we go, 13.
13 to 18 is 5 off.
See?
21
Yep.
to 18 is 3 off.
3 off, yeah.
Oh.
Sorry.
I've
To hell
thrown an
with
18.
math.
I've thrown an 18.
Sounds like Robert.
No, you're right.
All right. Unless anyone disputes it, I think that is Robert's win.
Well done, Robert.
But Robert.
Huzzah!
Okay, Robert, so if you haven't already heard,
Chester.
get on to modelingforadvantage.co.uk. Go to the contact us, send us a message with your postal address, etc. All right, we're coming up for the final one now.
X-What, sorry.
Come on, Harry, you got to play serious now.
All right.
All right.
Somebody threw their hat in for you earlier, Harry. Who was it?
They did. Somebody threw me for a 52, so thank you.
You don't roll
Tony.
heathen general, you just write in a number. I'm doing the rolling with real dice. All right, okay, here we go. Boom. 1 minute,
Last
put in a
one.
number. If you put in a number that's already come in, we're going to take the earliest incident of that, nearest to what I roll for the last S-Tank.
61.
61! Oh, you played for real here, Harry.
Yeah, I played for real this time. 61.
Good.
61.
Chosen his own age.
So coming down wants a recount, apparently.
Oh, it's subs, isn't it? Is he declaring ball tampering? That's what John was doing earlier, I think.
Yeah,
Meatball
it certainly
tampering.
sounded like it.
Meatball tampering. All right, nearly up.
Tony's got it for Harry again, 78.
78 for Harry. What did you pick, Harry?
62, I think.
It's going to look like a total stitch-up if you win this.
It is. That's all right. I'm unlikely to win, so that's good.
Did I vote as well? There you go.
It's 11.
Ooh!
Whoop, whoop.
I'm
11.
not doing the maths this
Who
time.
got closest to that? We got a
Who got
3.
closest to
I think
11?
62's closest to 11, I think.
I've got a 12 and a 13.
At 12, yeah.
Who's got the 12? Is that Kendo?
Yeah.
Kendo
Yeah.
Ikari. Any advances on 12?
It's a shame because Lazy Pirate went for 13 again. They couldn't have just beaten to it.
Gosh.
Right.
Unlucky.
Well, there you go. So, Kendo, you have won one S-Tank sprue. Congratulations.
Well done.
So, all of the winners, as I say, go on to Modelling for Advantage website, modelingforadvantage.co.uk, get to the contact us and send us your, in there, give us your shipping details. We'll get this posted out to you. We have no way of contacting you from here.
Yep.
Based on any of this, get in touch with us that way. We'll ship them out to you. If you are someone who has one and wants to donate yours to Harry, let us know.
I'm
the
a big
email,
boy. I
guess.
can buy mine. Thank
But
you.
Harry's going to buy the bloody box. I don't
I
care
am.
what he says. He's going to buy the army deal. He's done this a few times. He's like, oh, look what I just got. Having, said, I'm not getting this. I'm going to be
The
a
current
grown-up.
plan is I'm going to buy a box of S-Tanks and 2 boxes of Centurions.
Right. Oh, because
The
there isn't a
sprue of
Centurion-based army deal, is there?
No, there isn't. And I need Centurions for everything. I need it for Nam and
Yes.
just because it's cool.
He's not Kendo.
It's not Kendo, he's a very naughty boy. Yeah.
Kendo was a wrestler when I was a kid.
It's a martial art.
I know, but there was a wrestler, you know, Saturday morning wrestling, not American wrestling, British wrestling. As it started to get corny and started to dress up, there was a dude came on in a kendo. He was called Kendo, and he had the and he wrestled in the kendo mask.
Oh, that sounds painful.
Yeah, very sweaty.
So I got introduced to kendo by a guy at university from Malaysia who, put the kendo thing on me and then proceeded to beat the living snot out of me for about half an hour. It was great.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh,
Talking to
Nagasaki.
giveaways, Kaiser.
Yeah.
Talking to giveaways.
Talking of giveaways. Right, yes. Thank you, Callum. Thank you for reminding me. So Callum's doing a giveaway. If you don't know already, Callum, look at that beautiful face. So you just want to take it home and kiss it. Callum is going to run the London Marathon next year, which is pretty impressive because the dude ain't got any legs. So he's raising money for charity that he works for. So Callum, tell him a little bit about WizKids, the London Marathon, and your raffle.
Yeah. So, like, if you pop over to my channel, there's a much longer video on this. But, basically, I work for a charity called WizKids. We help support young wheelchair users in the UK around just everything from 0 up to 26. We help them with things like employability, with equipment, with clubs, activities, all the social stuff you'd expect from a youth club. And we do all of this with charitable donations. We don't get any funding from the government or anything like that. So we do that to support these young people. There's currently 75,000 young wheelchair users in the UK, and we're doing our little bit to help as many of them as we can. To that end, I'm trying to raise some money by doing the London Marathon. My target is £1,900, and I'm currently at 33% of it. A lot of it due to you lovely guys here on YouTube, so thank you to people who have already donated. But I'm not somebody that believes in giving money away for no reason. So to that end, I have a raffle at the minute, where I'll be raffling off 2 of these Hellboy dice games, lovingly donated by Ronnie over at Mantic Games, for the purposes of raffling off. These are where they're going for charity. And it's £2 a ticket, or it's £8 for 5, so you get a ticket free. And all the money goes straight to the charity. It goes on the Just Giving page, and that goes to the charity. So pop over to my channel. There's a video about it with all the links and stuff you need to do, rather than mess up this feed with it. And enter and have fun. I am happy to send them off to Europe. Or if you're abroad and you're like, why do I want to support a UK charity? Message me and we'll do a swapsy. I'll send some money to a charity of your choice and you send some to mine.
Boom.
Well done, Callum.
Some of the money will be going towards an actual microphone for Callum, so we can hear what he said.
No, it won't. In relation to that, right, guys, all I would say is, remember, you're doing this for charity. Don't look too much at the fact I don't play the Hellboy dice game. I'm not interested in it. Just give the damn thing away to some kid or whatever in your family if you're not interested in it. It's just fundamentally, it's about supporting this charity. And I don't, if you don't know, with regards to the London Marathon, you do have quotas set that you have to raise an amount of money to take part in it. You know, that is a requirement of that. So Callum's got to raise a lot of money in the next few months. Well, you still got 9 months to do it, haven't you?
I've still got 9 months to do it, and I'll have other raffles running throughout the year. Mantic were very lovely to send me a load of stuff. British Legion, another YouTuber, has a shop in Kent. He's given me a load of stuff to raffle off as well. So keep your eye out, and please do it. It's all for a good cause.
Do it.
And I'll put it. I don't know whether I can post a link just now, but the thing about Brush and Quill's YouTube channel is there's no space between the and the quill. It's brush space and quill, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think it's that way around. Or if that doesn't work, try the space in the other. But there isn't space on both sides. I remember that. Yeah. There's another YouTuber or something who's already stolen the space. Is that right, Brush and Quill?
No, I think when I set up my channel, you had to set up a first name and a last name. You couldn't have it as
Right.
separate things. So it's like Brush first name and Quill as a surname.
So it wasn't you getting your YouTubers in a tangle. You had to follow some rules.
You had to follow some rules. You might be able to change that now. Anyway, so Harry, let's just go. I don't know whether there's more slides. Can you tell us a little bit about the Nordic Forces book then? We talked a bit about the S-Tank. I know you came prepared to say this, to talk about it. So Nordic Forces is...
What, you mean that thing?
Absolutely. I can tell you that we're getting our delivery tomorrow. So those people that pre-ordered from our website, we will be shipping those. You'll get them by the weekend, I'm certain. And anybody that wants to buy one, I think we've got 4 unsold copies. I think maybe 3. 15% off on the Modular Advantage website. This is a limited edition. Is that right, Harry?
Yeah. Yeah, the Swedish Starter Force is in limited edition, so that's a one and done thing from Battlefront. They've started doing that. So Red Dawn was that way for the Soviet Airborne. You either bought the box or you didn't. We didn't know that at the time, so when it all disappeared, a lot of people were going, when's it going to be restocked?
Yes.
And it's not. So if you want a Swedish Starter Force, and the Kaiser is really keen for me to buy one, you have to get it right up front. Oh, man. I actually miss not living somewhere like the UK where you actually have like distributors with stock on release date. Just crazy, insane stuff like that, usually. Yes. But Nordic Forces, in case anybody isn't aware of it, and I would be very surprised if anybody watching this isn't, that gives you all the Nordic Forces for Team Yankee, which is Finland, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. All the fun guys.
Whoop.
Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of weird, unique things in there.
So, Michael, yes, it is.
Yeah, 8 tanks, 3 jeeps, and 2 helicopters.
What I would say is we had a look at this. This is not terrific value compared to their other starter sets. But if you want to play Swedes, if you want to build the Swedish army, it is cheaper than just buying the platoon boxes, but it is not terrific savings. Partly like these jeeps and resin and metal. Yeah. I don't know with the Swedish helicopters, are these going to have Scio cast weapons?
Yes, they will. So, the tow launchers on either side of it. Yeah, but the tow launchers they have are particularly... No, they're an add-on set.
Right.
So you get the helicopters, and I actually don't know you can buy the helicopters and the set together. I think you have to buy the helicopters and then you can order the upgrade set.
Right.
I'd have to check.
Yeah. So, this isn't terrific value, but it is a saving if you're wanting to start a Swedish army. Yeah,
and it's 2 platoons of 3 and a 2-tank HQ. So it's a HQ and 2 complete platoons of tanks.
Yeah.
I love the little jeepy things because apparently on the side of them you can see there's like a roll bar that folds down. Apparently they used to zoom these things around in the Swedish forest so fast that they'd roll them over. So they had to actually fit them with roll bars because they're so cut down and so light that they can just hoon these things about.
Probably catches a lot of branches as well instead of it hitting the crew.
It probably does.
Are they homebrews as well, or are they modified from somebody else's?
Oh, now you're asking me. I didn't look too closely at that. I think they are cut down versions of a commercial car design, like a 4x4.
Yeah, they're not Jeeps. They're their own.
Yeah, they're their own.
That's what.
Yeah,
you were just saying that they built their own tank. They built their own fighter
Jeep
and bomber.
equivalent.
They built their own Jeep as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't quote me on that, but I certainly know some of the other forces have Mercedes G-Wagons. So they're basically commercially available Mercedes 4x4s that they sort of stuck machine guns on and painted green.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they don't look like Volvos, that's for sure.
They don't.
They'd be safe in the forest.
They have got roll bars, though.
So the other... That's true. So the other... Norway, Denmark, Finland. Anything. So this book covers them as well. Although there's only this starter set coming out, that means for example, Centurion is being released. That's widely used in Scandinavian countries.
Absolutely.
I don't know whether some of them are still in service. In fact,
I think they were very recently retired, from reserve.
Right. Because they did a lot of the equipment, because the collapse of the Soviet Union meant a lot of European nations just didn't update their equipment for 30 years.
They're rapidly trying to do that at the moment with all the fun and games that are happening.
It's a good time to be in armaments in Europe.
It is.
So any standout features in those other armies? So we talk about those armies. They're interesting for Team Yankee because they're quite weak pieces of equipment for the Team Yankee setting.
Lots of Leopard 1s and cheap tanks. They've even got, I think the Danes have unimproved Centurions with 20-pounder guns that they were using as tank destroyers.
Right.
So they didn't spend any money to upgrade them. They just used them as a big gun on a not really quite good enough anymore tank.
So if you want to try something that's a bit like a T-55 butt rush, but with better quality crews that don't die on threes.
Yes, but only in platoons of 3.
But only in platoons of 3. But they'll have the morale, so it won't matter in the same way.
But there's lots of unique kits. So there's M113s with weird turrets with 20mm cannons on. There's tow launchers in armoured turrets on M113s. So there's a whole bunch of unique kit in there. A lot of it's resin and metal. But yeah, it would be, I was about to say a hard army to play, but it's a more challenging army to play because you don't have heavy hitters. But for example, what you do have is if you're Swedish, your aircraft come with Maverick missiles, which are like AT-27, so that'll crack anything on the table.
If the planes turn up.
If the planes turn up. And if they don't all get shot down. I was watching a playthrough today, and the 4 Vigans turned up, and 3 of them were immediately shot down.
Yeah, I mean, so in Team Yankee, like in Flames of War, planes are actually a lot cheaper than you might think, because they often don't turn up, and if there's AA on the board, they often get shot down. And their points are a good reflection from what you can expect them to do.
And what do Russian forces have an awful lot of?
Cheap AA.
Yep.
Cheap
missiles,
AA.
guns, we've got it all. We've got things with missiles and guns.
So with this,
go on.
I was going to say with this book, it seems from what I've seen of your videos and what you're saying is that there's not a lot of unique stuff, but a lot of, you could probably proxy from your old collection, your American or British or German.
No, there is actually a lot of absolutely unique stuff, like things that were modified from different vehicles. So, as I say, the M113s I'm trying to remember, I think they're Norwegian, with the special turrets on them and things that aren't available in any of the other forces. So, yeah, the Scandinavian countries did a lot of things their own way and had particular unique vehicles of their own.
So they're not unique vehicles, they're unique upgrades to vehicles. If you want to get into if you like having a lot of resin and metal in your collection as swappable turrets and so forth, this is the place to look. Now, you have to be realistic about things like plastic kits and so forth. You can't realistically expect. Team Yankee is not their principal game, and the Nordic forces are not going to appeal to large numbers, but they're not going to make a plastic frame to put a Bushmaster cannon or whatever it is upgrade in frame just for that. It's not going
absolutely
to happen. And although we're saying resin and metal, my experience of the stuff that's been re-released for this is it isn't resin and metal, it's usually Cyocast. I'm not saying that that's absolutely the case, but like missile pods for alternative aircraft arrangements, things like that. Right. It's often been Cyocast. That's kind of the route that they're going down, for good or bad. There was the business about it being limited edition as well. I wanted to cover.
The Starter Force is limited edition. Yeah.
So I sometimes think that the people that sell these things, they don't get the consumer experience because they don't have it, they don't experience it, and they don't take that kind of feedback. So notice that nobody knew that the VDV, the Air Assault Battalion or whatever, that Soviet airborne was going to be limited edition.
Yeah.
And this wasn't advertised, I think, initially as a limited edition. Interestingly, though, I believe
you poked Pete and asked about it.
Yeah, when is it going to be re-released? And he said, no, it was a one and done thing.
Yeah.
Which is the next thing I was going to talk about in relation to that. In the French book, and remember that the books are produced way in advance, and the NATO forces coming later in the year, the Army deal in
allegedly,
it says is limited edition.
Right.
And I think that they didn't appreciate that as consumers needed to know this was a one and done thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's deliberate. And I genuinely, having sat down with Pete, broke bread with him, shared a meal with him and his wife, I do not believe that this is to generate FOMO. I think they care a lot about code bloat, what they call it. The number of products that they do, they're trying to thin out massively because stockists just can't cover it all. And you remember the couple of years ago they started to remove unit cards from boxes, and I think a part of that is this M113 we've got in 12 boxes. Right. This Panzer IV we've got in 6 boxes, and the difference is cards. Absolutely. Yeah. And so, in some cases, if they're going to include resin and metal parts or an upgrade sprue, there isn't much they can do about that. But they're kind of, as a company, they're very much rethinking that.
Yeah.
We want to produce less boxes. What he
also
also
they call
said,
it? SKU creep.
SKU.
Yeah.
I think a SKU is the item on the shelf.
SKU is,
Yeah.
So,
and they
are very sensitive to that.
And they get that. I think it's because of the World of Tanks thing. Is that they sell that in department stores and so forth. So instead of dealing with the kind of most hobby shops is owned by one person who is the owner, the manager, and the sales assistant, and knows his product intimately, and knows exactly what he wants from Flames of War to some extent.
Yeah.
When you start dealing with department stores and so forth, they need a much smaller product line where they can just order and refill a shelf.
Did I hear you and Pete talk about the idea that they're actually going to start stocking the individual World of Tanks? You're going to have to buy them in the platoon boxes, or?
So the way that they're planning to do it is that the single tank is limited edition.
Right. Yeah.
So it'll come out. They'll make N,000 of them as singles.
For a wave.
Wave 11 will come out as Wave 11, but it will never be remade. And then 2 months later, 3 months later, it will be in a platoon pack, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thinking. I broadly agree with it. Particularly at the price point now, the World of Tanks I think are £11 each. They're not a cheap way of getting an extra tank.
No.
They don't have the same attraction to the Flames of War player that they did in the past.
No.
It was, I just want one, and that was a cheap way of getting it.
Or I just need an extra one. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I just need an extra one because of army configuration. Exactly. I don't know if people have noticed, by the way, when you look at the numbers of tanks in this, it doesn't seem that great. The platoon boxes now are priced in such a way as they are £8 a tank.
Yeah.
These things are that's the price creep over the last few years. In a platoon box, it's £8 a tank. So if you're trying to work out the value of one of their sets,
yeah.
But there was other great stuff about Team Yankee. He said he was making plastic American and Soviet infantry, hard plastic.
Yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, because that Soviet stuff isn't too bad. I think you've said that, haven't you? They're in
the plastic. Soviet soft plastic stuff is fine, although I don't know if they're going to start switching that over to Cyocast or if they can even do that.
Well, I don't know if they're redoing it in hard plastic.
For those particular... Yeah, so hard plastic would be good.
Hard plastic would be great, I think. They're hard plastic infantry that I've had. I saw somebody gave me a comment in that interview video saying, no, I don't think their hard plastic infantry is very good, actually. And I'm like, it's the best I've seen.
There are some technological issues, like I think they call them undercuts, so under people's arms and stuff like that, you can have issues with how you do that on a hard plastic sprue. But
yeah,
I mean, once you've got them
but there are
painted
different
up
problems
and stuff,
with all of
they're
the
not
other
terrible.
materials.
Yeah, that's right.
But for hard plastic infantry, I think.
Because I've seen problems with undercuts on hard plastic 28mm, let alone going down to schools 15. So
Yeah.
quick thank you to Mini Warm Up, by the way.
What's that?
Quick thank you. He's popped a bit in for some raffle tickets. So.
Oh, he's bought some raffle tickets. Sweet. World of Tanks starter set. Now, I believe people have bought that at a big American show recently. Was it? It wasn't Adepticon. Which one was it? There's been a big American show like this weekend, and there's been some previews from it. It's worth looking at the World of Tanks Facebook pages if you want to know more about that. Some of it is the stuff that Pete talked to us about in the interview, and it's not been officially announced yet, so I'm kind of not... I'm a bit sworn to secrecy, even though that information is out there.
Yes.
But
I have some idea of what some of that's going to be too, but yeah, I don't want to say anything until they're ready to come out.
Gen Con, that was it. I knew it was the big one, but a big one, Gen Con. There's pictures, there's the next few waves, and he has said in relation to World of Tanks, they are going to produce a roadmap. I don't know whether that was what that was. I guess that was it.
Yeah.
They've shown the roadmap.
But also for Team Yankee, the next thing up is NATO forces. So they're going to redo a new book for the French, the Australians, the Canadians,
the Dutch, the Belgians, the West Germans,
and they've added the Belgians. I think they're new.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll get a chance to have a look at that.
Well, it doesn't include Italians and Spanish, does it?
I don't think so.
No. It's interesting because they don't fit into the mindset when you think about this. But actually, in terms of population and therefore military size, Spain and Italy are two of the biggest armed forces in Europe.
Although with Italy, would they have to then make particularly new and unique vehicles for them?
Well, I don't actually know what the Italians use. They don't use French equipment. They make they make guns and they make ships. I didn't know that they had their own tank industry still that was worth a shit. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I'd have to have a look. I think the Ariete comes to mind, but I think that's something else. No, I'd have to go and have a look. That's not an area of my expertise, I'm afraid. Yeah. But so the NATO one is due out, and that's sometime in October, I think. But that's the next wave of stuff they've got coming out.
Yeah, and they've said that there's no new Flames of War stuff coming out this side of Christmas.
Apparently.
Because they're working on early war. And early war next year, whether it's the beginning, middle, end of next year, that's the big thing coming to Flames of War. And that's going to be a huge release from the conversations that we had. He talks about 20 plus kits, multiple new starter sets, 2-player starter sets like the Kasserine and the Tobruk and the Hit the Beach. More of them. Hard plastic infantry. Pretty sure he said French among that. He didn't commit to motorcycle infantry, which upset me. No. But I keep asking him, and I hope he's going to do it. So his thing on that is, in talking to him, it's like the problem that they have with soft skins. If you get version 3, you'll see that it's full of soft skins everywhere.
I've got resonant metal trucks up the wazoo for my Brits that I can't use anymore.
So, and what he said about that is people pay, paint, and then put them on the table, and then they have to take them off the table. Because your trucks don't stay on the table. They come on, they deliver their unit, and then they disappear. And so he didn't want to make people have to have that stuff in their collection. And he feels the same way kind of about motorcycle infantry.
Yeah.
Is that they arrive on their motorcycles, and then they deploy. And that's that.
Yeah, except I saw a very cool early war battle between motorcycles and sidecars versus tankettes.
Right.
And
that looks like sounds like a battle that'd take forever.
Oh, yeah. It was a drag down, bare knuckle fight thing. And the motorcycles won, surprisingly.
Right. Okay. Because my thing about it is if you want to look at things that are unique about the early wars, everybody goes to war with motorcycle infantry.
Yeah.
Everyone's got it. Pretty much everyone cans them after a year.
It's not there by mid-war.
It's all gone. Yeah.
Yep.
The Soviets keep the motorcycle battalion in the motor rifle divisions, but when you actually look at what's in that motorcycle battalion, it's normally not motorcycles. It's normally armored cars, sometimes some cavalry. It's one of those things that the table of organization says motorcycle battalion, but every different division seems to have different things in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, there's a mobile element. Some of them have got American Studebakers. Some of them have got Canadians, trucks. They've all kinds of things. But motorcycle infantry, very early war iconic.
And I wasn't convinced by early war. Sorry, Callum.
I can see the argument about like why produce the model if nobody's going to use it? It appears, it does something, it disappears again.
Yeah.
We've had the same conversation in
planes.
In Drop Zone about planes. You know, that it flies on. You know, and had the same question for games. I think somebody like me, I actually like having that in my collection, even if it only appears on the table for 10 seconds. So I think they need to make sure that there's some advice about if you want. You know what I mean? Like, for people that want it, you know. I know we're as modelers, we're very good at hunting down stuff where we can't find it.
Yeah.
Even if they move all of that onto get somebody to CAD it and move it all onto 3D printing with a 3D shop, like some companies have done now. You know, we don't produce it anymore, but we do have a 3D you can print for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it seems to me unlikely you're going to see anything down the 3D print route from Battlefront because they've committed very firmly to the hard plastic. They experimented a bit with Cyocast a couple of years ago, and they are using that. But if they're making Team Yankee Russian infantry in hard plastic, you know, they said 20 frames for early war next year. They talked about the things that we saw there, the dozen plus vehicles, they were not early war. They were something else. They're looking like they're doing 30 plastic frames a year at the moment. That you know, that's the direction they're going. That's on a totally different scale to what we've seen.
Yeah, that's understandable. I'm just saying that if they wanted to not direct people to a different seller, but wanted to keep it in house, that was a really good take.
Yeah.
Removed products onto that format.
Yeah. And he mentioned something about something like that privately, and I forget. It wasn't secretly. It was just off camera. It was things about third parties giving away 3D prints so that you can make like bridge layer versions of their tanks and so forth.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he'd said, I don't know why, I don't know how we go about doing this, because we'll never make that.
Yeah.
You know, if you want a Valentine bridge layer, we're never going to make one. But if you want to use our Valentine, there's no reason you couldn't use somebody else's bits to make that. And he was sort of interested in how he could make that happen. Because
what you go into partnership and have official
STLs or something, He wasn't looking to make money out of it.
There are people who work in that space. I know Keith Armstrong on all the Facebook stuff creates STL files, some of which he offers for free and some of which he sells, that do a similar thing. Either they fill a hole in lists where Battlefront don't produce the particular thing that's required for that, or they are modifications to add dozer blades or something to things that don't have it, and bridge layers and stuff like that. So there are a number of companies out there looking to fill that niche. Yeah.
And what you don't want, the last thing you want, is 20 Valentines and then one of them that is a different shape and size.
Yeah.
Because it's a different, I don't mind attaching the bits to it, but I want it to be in scale with all my other Valentines. And everybody's going to look slightly different, isn't it?
Yeah.
So just to clarify that point, I said 30 plastic kits a year. So what I'm saying there, I suppose, he didn't specifically say that, is in that interview, he said that there were 20-ish kits for Flames for early war. we saw more than a dozen vehicles which were not for early war. And he said that there was hard plastic Russian and American infantry. So at a rough count, that's 34 by the end of next year.
Yeah.
And that's just the things that we saw. So I'm not saying that they're definitely doing 30 kits a year, but I'm saying that they've done 4 to 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a huge investment in hard plastic framing. Whether they can sustain that, I don't know. But it seems like and I'm glad because of all of the things that they do, it is the best thing they do. If you don't like these, and some people feel they don't have enough fidelity, it's a wargaming piece for me. I love their more modern kits. Some of the early ones are a little bit ropey. The Panther and the T-34, not because they are ropey. Compared to model kits, they're still easy. They're just hard compared to this. Is the thing. But they made some very good kits so far. And I'm glad to see them concentrating on it and really, really doubling down on it.
There are strange people out there that super detail them. So, as a base model, they've got the base standard.
Yeah, they're very
good.
If
you really wanted to add the additional stuff to it, you could.
Yeah. But if you care about every vent, exhaust vent, and engine grill, engine deck grilling, the metal ones will often have more detail. The problem with the metal ones I have is they're not quite straight in most cases. They're like slightly fatter on one side. Or they just don't look real to me.
Your opponent.
So Mini War Mutt has just asked, I purchased a ton of Flames of War Vietnam. Is there a rule book for this? Going to dabble in Flames of War. Yeah, there is actually a separate rule book called NAM, which covers all of that. So if you've bought some of the Vietnam range, then it's actually a separate game with slightly different mechanics for some stuff. There's a wound mechanic and a bunch of other things that make it feel more like a Vietnam film.
Recovering casualties is a thing.
Yeah, you have to, if you take a wound, you have to then get them off the table to a medevac somewhere.
Yeah.
And if the platoon with a wound takes another wound, there's stuff to deal with. So there's just interesting mechanics. The base stuff you'll recognise from Flames of War and Team Yankee, but there's additional flavour.
Is it called Flames of War Vietnam? I know it's called NAM.
No, it's called NAM. It's actually a separate game.
Just in terms of Mini War Mutt finding it, is it published by Osprey rather than Battlefront?
It is published by Osprey, yep.
So that might
both NAM and Fate of a Nation.
That might help you find it, is what I'm saying. Might. Googling NAM is not going to find you that book.
No.
So there you go. Okay, hobby-wise, I got some brown stripes on. I'm going to be painting these in the ambush camouflage, obviously, because that's what I've done with my Panzer Lair. Is it accurate-ish? Hobby-wise, what about you, Callum?
I got this far on my chasseur, and then I managed to go and get flesh wash all down my white t-shirt. So.
Mate.
Hence I disappeared for a while.
I did wonder why you turned into a meatball.
So I stopped at that point.
So has he been kicked in the crotch, or is he actually meant to be mounted on a horse?
He's meant to be on a horse.
Right, okay.
He's a chasseur, Harry.
I thought he'd had an unfortunate
he's a chicken.
intimate encounter.
I paint the riders and the horses separately because I'm that kind of a sadist. So.
Yep.
John?
Sweet. Best parts and all colours on the hatchet, dude.
Excellent.
Oh, does he actually have a hatchet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chops
the snot out of things.
Little fireman.
Little hatchet
Basically.
man.
Hatchet man. Harry, you were too busy talking.
Haven't touched it. I'll put it back on the shelf. There we go.
You haven't even taken the cellophane off, mate.
No, I haven't.
You weren't even trying.
I wasn't even trying. No. I was looking at the S-Tanks too much.
For anyone. One day.
Alice's great live stream, but Michael Lee Just remind us all the commitment. When Harry appears on our scheduled live show, that man has woken up very early to do so. What time is it now? Now we're finishing.
It's just gone 6 o'clock, so I got up at 3:30 to come out here and
for 4.
Get it all happening.
But
hey, it's always fun. I love coming and representing my channel on here and chatting with you guys.
Thank you for coming.
I guess you wouldn't get up at 3 in the morning if you want to enjoy yourself, right?
No, and I wouldn't do it for anybody else but you guys.
Oh, Harry, love you. All right, guys. Thank you all for watching. Congratulations to the winners. Remember,
yes, congratulations.
modelingforadvantage.co.uk. Contact us. Give us your shipping address. We'll get it to you. All right. If you don't contact us, you can't. I can't get it to you.
And they all go to Harry.
Yep.
All right.
All unclaimed ones can be sent here.
Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.